What we have here is a really dense stack of material that gives us a shortcut into two massive family battlegrounds happening at the same time. On one side, you've got this meticulous, staged custody battle for 𝐊𝐔𝐌.
Total public perfection.
Exactly. And on the other, you have the complete chaos of Ferret and Layla's secret romance, which is imploding again. But the real core of this deep dive, I think, is the seismic shift in the murder investigation.
And that's our mission, right? To unpack these huge turning points, to really focus on what happens when secrets are finally dragged out into the open. Specifically, we need to understand the fallout when Karan, who has spent so long punishing Ceylan for his brother's murder, is suddenly forced to wonder if he's been catastrophically wrong this whole time.
It is the definition of high stakes. So let's start where the performance is at its peak. This whole staged effort by Karan and 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐶 to get custody of 𝐊𝐔𝐌.
This part is just fascinating. It shows how quickly a marriage can pivot from, a personal reality to just a public requirement. 𝐀𝐁𝐴 even says their union started by custom, but now, suddenly...
Now it has to be based on love and trust.
Right, all for the social workers. For her, this visit is a huge turning point. She is determined to get that positive report no matter what it takes.
And what it takes is total performance. The detail about the family photo shoot is almost funny. It's so meticulous. They hire a photographer and ask for a more loving posture.
A more loving posture. You can't make that up.
You really can't. And 𝐀𝐁𝐴 just loves this role. She sees herself as the doting stepmother, the loyal wife. She's already, patting herself on the back for the positive report before it's even written.
And the performance? It requires some pretty systemic manipulation, especially with Ceylan. I mean, let's not forget, she's the prime suspect in the murder.
The one he's punishing.
Exactly. And a family member basically insists Ceylan has to stay in her room, not be seen. They even say they should lock her up if they have to. It shows that the facade is literally more important than her freedom.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it, about where the priorities are in this family. And you see that same contrast in the interview about 𝐊𝐔𝐌's future. 𝐀𝐁𝐴 paints this almost fantastical picture for the girl.
Oh, yeah. Best schools. A huge career. Basically using 𝐊𝐔𝐌 as a vehicle for her own ambition.
But what's really interesting is Karen's counterpoint to that. While 𝐀𝐁𝐴 was talking about career climbing, he's focused on 𝐊𝐔𝐌's happiness, on her choices.
He says if she chooses a totally different path, he'll support her. It's this little moment of sincerity that kind of peeks through all the staging,
It really does. And that kind of sincerity is rare. Meanwhile, you've got these other tensions just bubbling under the surface. Emir tries to get information out of Jan.
And Jan just shuts him down cold.
Completely.
Jan
Clarifies he's just an employee working for money, despite the family name. It just proves that underneath that perfect family photo, it is absolutely seething with toxicity.
It's all just calculated for public consumption. So if we pivot from that manufactured happiness to a relationship that's just pure volatile chaos, we get to Ferret and Layla.
Yep. Their reconciliation, which was already on shaky ground, is immediately thrown into crisis because of a huge secret Layla's been keeping.
And of course, it's Ferret's aunt, Karaman, who exposes it all.
Of course. She finds out Layla brought Mohammed Mustafa's army friend with memory loss into the house. And she doesn't hold back. She calls Layla immoral, a traitor to the family.
Layla's defense is pretty heartbreaking, though. She admits she lied, but she says Mohammed was beaten, he was weak. She couldn't just abandon him.
And crucially, Mustafa and Ghanta back her up. They admit they helped hide him because they knew Ferret's temper would just explode.
Which it does.
Oh, it does. Predictably intense. He demands she choose him or Mohammed. It's this huge dramatic moment, which makes the resolution kind of astounding.
Okay, I have to pause here because this detail is just structurally hilarious. The fake cramp.
The fake cramp.
He ends a massive relationship-ending fight by faking a leg cramp so he can pull her in for a hug.
It's unbelievable. He just collapses. She rushes over, and suddenly they're reconciling passionately. It shows that their love isn't based on logic or dialogue. It's just explosive emotional swings.
Passion is its compass, not reason.
Exactly. Total emotional whiplash. They go from breaking up to these intense declarations in like 10 seconds. But of course, there's a catch.
Always a catch.
Layla insists they have to keep their relationship a secret from Karaman.
And the reason she gives is Karaman's health, right? This supposed fatal illness.
That's the story.
Yeah.
The stress of them being together again could actually harm her. And Ferret, you can tell he hates it. He feels the injustice of it, but he agrees. He prioritizes his aunt's health.
Which, of course, gives Karaman all the power.
All of it. She keeps trying to sabotage Layla, calling her immoral. And then there's that bit where she tries to cancel a doctor's appointment. It makes you wonder, is she really that sick, or is she just manipulating everyone?
And using Ceylan's crush on Ferret to drive an even bigger wedge.
She's definitely aware of that and encouraging it.
So we've got these two deeply flawed versions of love. One is manufactured for status, the other hidden for self-preservation. Which brings us to the final and most important conflict, the murder of Sully.
Yes. The entire case, which has been Karan's whole motivation for years, is about to be turned on its head by one single, very inconvenient witness.
The arrival of Arkan, it's such a classic turning point. This guy just appears out of the blue.
Literally, they think he's a maintenance worker, an artisan, but he insists he has to talk to Karan about the murder.
And his story is almost too specific to be fake, which is what makes it so believable. He was in town for his wife's medical tests, got lost.
And stumbled on the crime scene. Barely operating shop. And this is the key. He says he saw a person run out the back door. Fast.
He's convinced that was the killer.
Convinced. He saw Karan's name in a newspaper later and felt this, moral duty to travel 7 hours by bus to clear his conscience.
And he says he didn't see the person's face, just the figure fleeing.
Which almost makes it more credible. He's not trying to invent details. And Jan, he believes him immediately. But Karan, ever the strategist.
He sees the danger right away, not just for the witness, but for the whole case.
His reaction is so swift. House Arkan in a hotel gets security guards. This is suddenly a protection operation.
And he immediately goes into deception mode. He realizes that if Galen is innocent, the real killer is still out there and will 100% try to silence Arkan.
So he gives Jan this strict order. Nobody, especially not Galen, can know this witness exists. Karan's focus is shifting. It's not just about punishing Galen anymore. It's about finding the truth.
And that shift, that's what sets up the most pivotal, agonizing scene in our sources, where Karan decides he has to test Galen himself.
Right, without showing his hand. He needs to know if he has spent all these years hating an innocent woman. He calls her to his office, pretends they're looking for some missing document.
And as they search, he's just watching her. He brings up the murder file and connects it to the name of her new art collection, The Hidden Truth. He's probing.
He's using these metaphors, saying things like, sometimes even eyes deceive their owner, trying to get a reaction out of her. You can feel his entire worldview just sitting on a knife's edge.
In Galen, she just tearfully sticks to her story. She's innocent. She recounts finding Sully, pulling the knife out, calling for help. But then
she says the one thing that changes Karan's entire life. The detail he either never heard or never listened to before.
Sully tried to speak before he died.
Yes. She asked him, who did this? And Galen says he struggled to get out just one word.
He.
He. That one syllable just invalidates everything Karan believed. For years, he was convinced Sully was pointing at Galen.
But if Sully said he, then he must have been pointing behind her.
Behind her. Toward the fleeing killer that Arkan saw leaving through the back door.
The gravity of that mistake. I mean, to realize you might have destroyed the life of the woman you love based on a complete misinterpretation.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming for him.
You can see it in his actions. He can't say it. He can't articulate his renewed faith. So he tells her to move into his room for safety and gives her a gift.
It's a silent apology, a gesture of protection.
And then he runs straight to Jan and says it out loud. The person Sully meant was the real killer. It means the entire investigation, the whole foundation of his life, has to be restarted.
From the beginning, he says he has to go back to the crime scene, while Jan's only job now is to protect Arkan.
So if you pull back and look at these two stories, you see this huge split between public perception and private reality. Secondly, thinks she's won. She's got the custody report, the family photos. She thinks she has secured her place.
But it's all meaningless, isn't it? Because privately, the entire foundation of Karan's life, the case against Galen, has just crumbled.
Exactly. He's now forced to confront the idea that he loved an innocent woman and that the real killer has been manipulating him this entire time.
The shift from seeing Galen as a villain to a victim changes everything. What the social worker saw was a performance. And what Karan saw at the crime scene might have been a deadly, life-altering mistake.
Which leaves us with one last, pretty terrifying thought to consider. If Karan was wrong, if Galen is innocent, then the real killer didn't just escape. They were calculating enough to frame her, to use her as a shield for all these years.
What level of methodical evil does that take? And what happens now that they know Karan, with all his power and his anger, is reopening the investigation from the beginning? Their freedom is suddenly at risk.
That is the truth that's waiting to be uncovered.
Thank you for diving deep with us.